The following is a Podbeard production.
EST 2016. This is
Interviews, music reviews, opinions, and more.
This is The Hodder Show.
What is up, everybody? We are on audio here today on episode 234 of The Hodder Show. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thanks so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button on today's episode of the podcast. I've got yet another kick-ass music showcase episode for you here today, and I try to have awesome content every single week here on the show, and I hope I do pretty good with my track record. This episode, we are taking a full listen to an EP that just came out actually November 14th, so still a very new EP in the grand scheme of things. The band is called Noise Floor, and the name of this EP is Blooming Crescendos, and let me tell you, it's awesome. It's definitely a very unique EP. Kind of proggy, almost a little bit. Really fun, and I know you guys are going to enjoy it, so you're going to want to stick around for the whole thing. As I do here on the music showcase episodes, I'm going to play the full EP with no interruptions, and then I'm going to give my thoughts, and then pick 3 of my favorite songs. And let me tell you, it was very difficult to pick from this EP, because there's definitely some bangers on here. And then we'll also, of course, learn a little bit about the band before we get into the EP. Kind of learn at least where they're from, who's in the band, kind of a little background on them, and where you can find them on social media. So very excited about that. I'm ready to rock and roll. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that if you're listening to this right now and you have a beard, or maybe you know someone with a beard, or someone in your family has a beard, or whatever, that you are very aware that there is 4 days left as you guys are hearing this, including today, in the Meanest Beard Worldwide contest from Mean Beard. If you're not familiar with what that is, basically Mean Beard is looking for the meanest beardsmen all over the world to share their story of who they are, what they stand for, a picture of their beard, their life motto, and just kind of what they truly stand for, why they are mean. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Mean Beard, they are a beard care company based out of Ohio, who, aside from having the best beard products in the entire world, I actually have some in right now, and let me tell you, there's no better feeling than getting off of work, grabbing a nice shower, and throwing in some Mean Beard oil. Oh, it gets me ready to podcast every single time. But they also have a message of a positive, aggressive attitude. And that's what mean is. The word no longer means what you think it means. It stands for a positive, aggressive attitude. And basically what that means in a nutshell is you are aggressively positive. You try to be positive at all times. You stand for something. You stand for things that you believe in, regardless of what that is. You know, stand up for the little guy, stand up to bullies, just try to be an overall positive person. So what Mean Beard are looking for with the Meanest Beardsmen is not only, again, obviously you got to have a good beard. That is important, but what's almost more important is the person behind the beard. So they want to hear your story, who you are, what you stand for. That is truly almost more important than the beard, because I can tell you right now that the people who have won in the past, because we do this every single year, they are not only do they have great beards, but they're also just great people, and they have a good story. So that is very important in this. So if you have a beard and you think you are mean and you want to stand up and let the world know just how mean you truly are and how awesome your beard is, go on meanbeardcode.com right now, go to the contest section, fill out the entry form, give a picture, and do it now. Do it today. Do not waste any time. Pause this episode right now. Send the link to your friend or your family member who has a beard. We are closing in on the end of the contest, and there's some stiff competition this year, but there's always room for more beards to showcase. So again, only a few more days. The contest closes December 15th. Check out meanbeardcode.com today for more details, and also to pick up some beard oil or some beard balm or some mean whip or maybe a comb or some apparel for that mean beardsman in your life. Or maybe you want to spoil yourself this Christmas. That's okay too. Just say it was from Santa. Because, I mean, come on. The big guy wants you to have the Mean Beard product. I can assure you that if Santa was here right now, he'd back me up on this. I'm sure he is a proud, mean beardsman. And if I had to hazard a guess, he probably uses probably the Kingstone scent, if I had to make a guess. But anyway, you're here to listen to some badass music, so we're going to jump into that. Before we do, I want to, of course, give you guys a little background on the band Noise Floor. Their EP, Blooming Crescendos, again, is the EP that we're going to hear in its entirety today. The band is from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, and they actually formed in September of 2012 at the Recording Arts Canada. For those of you who are familiar with that, after about a month into the first semester, Quincy, Dakota, and Stuart decided to get together for a simple jam session, and soon thereafter, the chemistry between the three very different musicians began to form. So, of course, this EP marks their first kind of foray into the world, and in the band, Stuart is the vocalist and plays guitar, Dakota plays bass and does vocals, and then Quincy is the drummer. And they're kind of self-described as just kind of like alternative rock. And let me tell you, I know you guys are going to absolutely dig this EP. So I'm not going to waste any more time or blabble on or ramble on aimlessly. I'm going to play all 5 songs right now here for you with no interruptions. So sit back, crank it up. Let's check out this EP. Again, it is entitled Blooming Crescendos, and the band is called Noise Floor. And this EP was released November 14th, 2019. As far as the 5 songs, we have the first track that we're going to get into in just a second, Isolation. And then we have One More Taste, Here to Stay, Broken Branches, and Wake Up. Crank it up right now. This is the first track on this 5-track EP. I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. This is Isolation.
Waking up in the room, some foreign place. I don't know where I am, and I can't remember anything. I'm struggling. choosing sides. And this time it won't go away, it won't change, won't change. Take me like years away from these dark days. Please tell me they're not here to stay.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Listening to The Hod Heads Show right now. Are you maybe in a band? Maybe you're a content creator? Maybe you're a performer of some kind who needs t-shirts or logos? Or are you maybe a business owner who's in need of some mailers or some brochures for your business? Maybe some business cards as well? Or are you someone who just needs some family photos edited and you're looking for the perfect graphic designer for you? You need to look no further than my man, Mr. Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts. Jaybird Digital Arts is a local business and you will be supporting the local economy. You will be dealing directly with the boss. There's no sales reps. There's no runaround. You're dealing with the man himself. Above par work at below par rates. And he has over 10 years experience. He will work long and late to make sure your project gets finished on time and on budget. If you have been living under a rock, everybody is using Jaybird Digital Arts, from myself and the whole Podbeard Network, Chinlock Wrestling, House of Hardcore, tons of different bands, Gino's Pizza. Everyone is using Jaybird Digital Arts. And he offers so many other services, I don't even have time to list right now. It would take the whole podcast, but whatever you need, he has your hookup. And he will make sure that he is unique and that you will stand out from the crowd. Contact him today for a free quote by going on jaybirddigitalarts.com, or you can also check him out on Facebook and Instagram at Jaybird Digital Arts and search hashtag Jaybird Digital Arts for a look at all of his awesome and unique work. And you can also contact him by email at jaybird.digital.arts@gmail.com. And on top of all of that, if you contact him today and let him know that your boy Hodder sent you, he'll even give you a little discount skis on his already fantastic prices. I can assure you, you will find no one better and not a better human being on this earth than Jaybird Digital Arts. And always remember this, folks. His business is not successful unless your business looks great. Contact Jaybird Digital Arts for your free quote today. So there you have it, folks. That was the entirety of the EP, Blooming Crescendos by Noise Floor. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. Again, to run through the tracks, the first track we heard was Isolation. Then we heard One More Taste. Then Here to Stay, Broken Branches, and Wake Up. What a badass EP, man. And as far as my kind of overall thoughts on the EP, my kind of quick 2 cents here, it really is kind of a prog rock masterpiece to me. Now, let me explain what I mean by that, because traditionally to me, I do like kind of proggy type music, but I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the 15-20 minute songs. There's an old joke about prog music that my uncle always says, and that's, oh yeah, prog's great. It gets really good about 15 minutes in. And I'm not much of a fan of that, but I'm a big fan of songs that kind of have prog elements that are kind of more well-crafted and shorter. And that's what we get with this EP from top to bottom. It has so much masterfully written music and passages that it's very hard to pick just 3 songs that I really love and that were my favorite, because there's tons of tasty riffs. Let me get them in my damn mouth, man, and taste them. That's some damn good stuff. And then, of course, there's tons of stellar vocal work, articulate bass work, heavy groove-oriented drums. The overall theme of the EP is very... It's kind of like mellow prog rock, but like there's some really heavy moments. And I really dug that. When I say mellow, I don't necessarily mean it's like slow. It's just like, it's kind of, I just sat back and just kind of was grooving, buffing my head, kind of just taking it all in. And that's what's cool about kind of doing these showcases now, where I'm not sitting here and dissecting every single track. I can really just sit back, let you guys hear it. I sit back and hear it. I pick my favorite songs, give an overall kind of view of the EP. As far as kind of the overall theme of the EP, kind of in a nutshell, with speaking with Stuart, and then also a little later on, when I'm talking about in just a moment here, when I'm talking about my 3 favorite tracks, I actually have some notes from Stuart about the tracks, which is very, very cool, because I don't usually have words from the artiste when I do these showcases or reviews here. But basically, the overall theme of the EP in a nutshell. Again, I'm paraphrasing very hard here, obviously saying this, but it's kind of talking about mental health issues and addiction, you know, some of which leading to the road of redemption and recovery. There are some very raw and personal stories on this EP. You can hear it by just the way that Stuart's singing and the way that the music is written. It's very raw and personal, but it's very clean as well, which is kind of that nice balance. When I say raw, it's not like, you know, sometimes you'll hear someone say, "Oh yeah, this EP is very raw," and it sounds like shit. It's not that at all. It's good raw. It's like, it reminded me of the first time I heard like very personal records. You know, there are artists that I'm a big fan of that, you know, you can just hear like, okay, this is different. This is not just them telling a story they know nothing about. Like, this is a whole different experience, and I definitely get that vibe, and I think that's why I'm such a fan of this EP, and it really kind of resonated with me, especially the tracks that I picked as my favorite. But, you know, very passionate, masterful performance from the band. You know, it's so obvious, and the whole kind of story of the EP is super well done and super well written. So kudos to you guys as a absolute badass of an EP. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Be sure to let me know kind of what your thoughts were. Shoot me a message or comment, or shoot me an email or what have you. But the moment that everyone has been waiting for, my 3 favorite songs on the EP. Now, this was very hard. Obviously, when we've got an EP versus an album, it's always kind of tricky because you only have, you know, 5 or 6 songs or whatever. When there's a full album, it's a little easier just to pick 3. But I did my best, and the first track that was my favorite on the record, and kind of my favorite overall, I really, really enjoyed this track, and that was actually the first track, Isolation. Very powerful, articulate opener for the EP. Isolation is a great look into what you can expect from the EP. Lots of tasty riffs. Let me tell you, holy crap. I don't know what I was expecting with this. I kind of got a vibe that was like probably going to be like kind of maybe a little proggy, just judging on like the titles and the album artwork. But I find I'm always, especially lately, man, I'm always surprised. And I'm not sure if I was expecting more like mellow rock stuff or whatever, but like the tastiness of the riffs, I'm like, damn, boy, wasn't expecting that at all. But some super complex rhythm work as well, but again, very tasteful and some great stellar vocal work. Isolation was just a really big standout for me and definitely my favorite on the EP. And again, I mentioned earlier that I actually have some words from Stuart, who again is the vocalist and guitarist of the band, speaking about the songs. And this is what he had to say about Isolation, and I quote, "This song is probably the one that really hits home. It speaks from the perspective of someone who has died and has lost their sense of self in the world, flashing back and forth between life and death with no form of communication with loved ones. Much like the circumstances most addicts and people with mental health issues find themselves in when everyone around them gives up on them. They are dead to the world. They have a likeness to their former self before drug use or a traumatic situation that triggered mental illness. They sound like the old person they used to be, but they are out of reach." And man, that's heavy. Like, that's some really, really heavy stuff. But it lends itself so well to the music and the story being told. And that's, you know, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, I relate so hard to this, because I mean, I don't. I've never been an addict, and I've never been someone who has, you know, lived with or battled with mental health. I mean, obviously, you know, I've had my ups and downs in life just like anybody, but I've never been someone who's had any prolonged fight or living with mental health. But it's definitely something that I think everyone can understand, and it really does hit home. And a very, very powerful song for sure. And thank you, Stuart, for, you know, sharing this with me, because it's very cool to kind of hear your perspective on that. Now, the next song that I picked that was my second favorite on the EP was Broken Branches. And I really liked it because it was kind of a little more of a straight up rock tune. Lots of soaring vocal melodies, all while keeping kind of that same vibe, almost a little proggy, a little bit of a prog elements for this whole EP. And it was kind of a breath of fresh air in its placing, because before it was kind of more proggy stuff. And I was kind of like, I really need a good soaring chorus. I need some good soaring vocal melodies, stuff that is a little more meat and potatoes, I guess is the best way to explain it, because that's really the stuff I like. And I got that, man, absolutely from this song. And I think that's why I liked it so much. I just was really looking for more of it. I was finding myself craving just a good straight up kind of more rock tune. And that's what I feel we get with Broken Branches. And again, Stewart had this to say about the track. It comes from the perspective of a friend on the sidelines watching their loved one struggle and become crushed under the weight of their struggle, something definitely everyone can relate to. Having done everything they can do to attempt to reach out and strengthen this person, the very last words shared in this song and two-part vocal harmony, symbolizing both perspectives, scream the line, "I have no strength left inside me," to each other. Both sides are desperate and both sides are helpless. And that's, again, super powerful. This whole EP really is super powerful, man. But that's a song and that's a topic I feel like everyone can relate to. I mean, shit, I know I can. Well, there's a situation where you see someone struggling, or you see someone going through something and you want to help them, but you just can't. Or, you've tried and unfortunately it's failed, or maybe you don't know how. That helplessness is something that definitely I think everyone can relate to. And, again, kind of presented in a more kind of straight up rock type song, while again, still being very unique and keeping with kind of the more proggy-ness element to this EP. And now the final track that I picked as my third favorite, and they aren't really in any order as far as what I picked. I am saying Isolation is my favorite just because I just really, really dug that song. But the third track that I'm picking as my favorite from Blooming Crescendos is Wake Up. You surprised? Probably not. Definitely a kind of 180 in the terms of what we kind of come to expect musically from Noise Floor on this EP. But a super technical, almost kind of sort of, dare I say, jazzy at times, I guess. I am so untrained when it comes to music styles. You could hear that and go, what the hell are you talking about? But to me, those kind of complex rhythms and chording and kind of structure, to me, seems jazzy-ish. I don't know, maybe I'm way off base on that. But again, still ringing true to kind of what we've come to find with this EP. And I had to pick it as one of my three because it was just such a whoa, didn't see that coming. And it really shows off the musicianship of all three members of the band. Like, goddamn, you guys can really play your asses off. On the song, Stewart had this to say: the song differs sonically in genre than the others. That's probably the understatement of the year. Although the lyrics still ring true to the theme of the rest of the EP. It's about a person who just cannot get it together enough to seize new opportunities, hold a job, keep relationships, and lead a normal life. So again, dark theme. You're trying to just go through with your life after going through something, or you're someone who's struggling with something and you just can't seem to get it together. And that dark theme kind of overtop a very kind of more uppity, up-tempo, almost jazzy type song is really cool. And I kind of dug that. But definitely a very fitting end to the EP. Very dark EP in a lot of ways, but beautiful as well. And I kind of get the vibe in a way that the story isn't finished. And so if you guys are regular listeners of the show and you've been listening for a long time, you've heard me say a billion times when I would do these, review shows, which now I'm calling them showcases and changing the format up a little bit, that when I tune into an EP, there are two things I want out of it. Okay, well, technically 3 things. Number 1, I want to hear kind of your best work. You at least got to throw a couple songs in there that are just absolute bangers that are going to hook me. And that's just the reality of the situation. I want to hear a good opener, and I want to hear a couple good tunes. Number 2, I want more after the EP. And what I mean by that is if you're telling me a story, the story can't necessarily end with this EP, because to me, traditionally, EPs are basically to tide you over in a way for the record. Now, nowadays, that's not so much the case, but I'm old school. I still kind of think that way. So when you drop an EP, I want it to kind of wet my lips, so to speak. I want to just like, okay, where's more? I need more. That's what I want to feel listening to this EP. And kind of the third thing at the end of it, I want to still feel fulfilled. And this is kind of the happy balance of that, in the sense of when that final note plays, I want my reaction to be just as such. Damn, what a great EP. Where's more? That's what I want from it. And I guess those 2 points are kind of the same point, I guess. Actually, they are pretty much entirely. So we'll say 2 things. But it's different from an album, whereas with an album, at the end of it, I want to be fully fulfilled. I want the story to end. I want to feel like I've just almost in a way accomplished something. I say it all the time. Maybe it's because I'm a fat guy. I don't know. Why I compare it to a meal. The EP to me is the appetizer, if that makes sense. Whereas the album, that's the full course meal, man. I need to feel full and fulfilled after listening to the album. Whereas the EP, I gotta want more from you. And I feel that way right now about Noise Floor. I'm excited. I'm hoping that we'll hear more stuff from them soon. And of course, if you want to check those guys out, you can. You can find them on Instagram under Floor Noise. So that's the reverse of their name, Noise Floor. It's Floor Noise. And then, of course, on Facebook, just search Noise Floor, and you will find them. You can check the EP out in its entirety as well on the Spotify. But, go ahead and drop them a like and drop them a follow on the social media. Keep up with what's going on with them. I'm very excited, hopefully, to maybe one day even have someone on from the band. Big shouts again to everybody. Thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to showcase your music here on the show. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did listening to this EP in its entirety. Definitely an absolute banger and definitely a unique EP to have on the show. I like to change it up. I like to keep things kind of open, and I do a lot of metal and a lot of rock and punk and stuff on here, so it's cool to kind of once in a while do something a little bit different. But that's going to be it for as far as the EP here today. Thank you guys very much for tuning in for that. Before I go, though, I of course want to give a humongous shout out to the Hod Heads, my Patreon subscribers, my Patreon supporters. They are people who have jumped on the Hotter Show Patreon and who are directly supporting the show with their subscriptions. If you guys aren't familiar with Patreon, basically you go on and you join one of the 4 tiers that I have set up, and it's a paid subscription service. It is not a donation. I'm going to be very clear on that. You basically just pay to help out the show and get extra content, get shout outs. I do a special podcast just for my Patreon subscribers, which the new episode of that will be out next week, as well as I'm planning other cool behind the scenes stuff, especially in 2020. I'm going to launch, some behind the scenes video stuff, as well as keep going with the podcast. It's a lot of fun and I enjoy doing it, as well as they get discounts on merch, potential free merch, depending on the level you're at, and who knows what's going to keep happening as the show grows. But we have a $1, a $5, a $10, and a $20 tier, all of which you get different rewards and different perks. So go on patreon.com/The Hotter Show if you would like to check that out. We have something for everyone, and even the $1 tier, man, it will help. I'm hoping to hit $30 a month, When I hit $30 a month for the show, it will help me cover all the costs associated with doing this podcast. That's right, it costs me money to do this podcast. And I drop this show every single week for free for you guys to attempt to entertain you. I love doing it. And in no way, shape, or form am I looking to make a living off of doing this podcast or anything. As much as I might joke about it sometimes in the memes and things of that nature. I just love doing this. But being able to have the show pay for the show would be very cool. So if you want to kind of go the extra mile and maybe drop some support for the show, please do so. Patreon.com/The Hodder Show. Either way, just thank you for listening. And again, the Hod Heads, we have my boy Scott, of course, of Suds Window Cleaning here in Clarington, Ontario, Canada. Longtime friend of mine. Scott, thank you so very much for the support, my man. It is appreciated. And then, of course, we have Will from Rolls-Royce, one of the most badass punk bands in Toronto. Be sure to go check them out on social media. Rolls-Royce are awesome, and I have actually covered them on the show here before and had Will on for an interview. Check them out. It's Rolls, R-A-W-L, Royce, R-O-Y-C-E, Rolls, Royce, and there's an S on Rolls as well. Check them out. Badass band, their EP, and so on. I did cover on the show here. And, man, just a badass punk band. Go check them out. Check Scott out as well. Suds Window Cleaning. If you need your windows cleaned, though, your gutters cleaned, there's some Christmas lights put up or something power washed, he is your man. Suds Window Cleaning on the Facebook. And thank you guys so very much. And thank you so very much for listening. Hit that subscribe button regardless of how you are listening. It means the world to me. Sure to follow The Hodder Show on social media as well. We have Facebook, Instagram, and as well as we have the website, podbeardnetwork.com/The Hodder Show. Shoutouts to the Podbeard Network, everybody on there, my friends, Still Loading Podcast, No Geeks Allowed. And shouts to you one more time because it's super late and I am just running in circles because I'm very tired. I'm going to sign off here today. Thanks again for listening. Shouts again to the Noise Floor crew. Thank you for letting me do a showcase of your EP. And I'll catch you next time on The Hodder Show. Take it easy, guys.